As we mentioned, leaders from across Europe and elsewhere have been meeting in the Armenian capital Yerevan for a summit of the European political community. Besides being the first gathering of Western allies since the U.S. announced it was withdrawing thousands of troops from Germany, the summit has also been a chance for the host country to present itself in a new light.
It's a big moment for Armenia, welcoming a huge gathering of Western leaders as the longtime Russian ally and former Soviet republic cautiously repositions itself, and this at a time of global upheaval.
To consider this summit historic for Armenia, not to mention the very summit of its own, which is the first European event of this scale hosted by Armenia ever. Dear friends, thank you for co-authoring this history for Armenia.
Another clear sign of Armenia's refocus away from Russia was an invitation to Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, whose country has defended against Russia's invasion for more than 4 years now. But the biggest shadow looming over Monday's gathering is the U.S. announcement that it's pulling thousands of troops out of Germany and possibly other European states as the transatlantic rift widens over the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran.
There has been a talk about withdrawal of U.S. troops for a long time from Europe. But of course, the timing of this announcement comes as a surprise. I think it shows that we have to really strengthen the European pillar in NATO, and we have to really do more.
Well, I wouldn't exaggerate that, because I think we are expecting that Europe is taking more charge of its own security. I don't see those figures as dramatic.
And Armenia's moment on the European stage looks set to continue when the first ever EU-Armenia summit takes place on Tuesday.
And let's get more on that. We're joined now by Narek Sukiasyan. He is an associate researcher at the Friedrich Ebert Foundation, Armenia, and he joins us now from Yerevan. How significant is this moment in terms of Armenia's long-term strategic direction?
Thank you for having me. This is indeed an important, if not a historic moment for Armenia, because the number of state leaders that are hosted in Yerevan today is more than Armenia has ever hosted, even in a year or in similar timelines. This comes at an important moment when Armenia tries to pivot its relations away from Russia to balance its relations in all sides of horizon, including West as a strategic pillar of that. But this also comes a month before very important elections, when Armenians will go to polls to elect the next parliament, which will define Armenia's executive for the next 4 years.
What does Armenia hope to gain economically from closer ties with the EU?
Armenia is currently pursuing a policy of economic diversification as it finds itself in an economic foreign trade disbalance that is heavily tilted in the Russian direction currently, as Armenia depends on energy supplies, on Russia as an agricultural export market, and so on. And the current EU-Armenia agenda heavily focuses on trade diversification. Besides that, Armenia is also pursuing, being the only country on that path, visa liberalization dialogue with European Union. And most importantly, this comes underpinned by connectivity, which was today's central topic at the European political community, as Armenia and Azerbaijan last year signed the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity, the TRIP agreement that would connect Azerbaijan, Armenia, and then Nakhichevan, or in other words, Central Asia to Turkey and to Europe. This is a high time for Armenia to position itself as part of the Middle Corridor, as part of the Global Gateway project, and to offer an alternative in this connectivity chain when the chains in the north and south are severed in zones of instability, and in a very rare occasion, Armenia and South Caucasus can position themselves as an area of stability.
Armenia has long-standing ties with Russia. How far and how fast can Armenia now move closer to Europe without crossing red lines with Moscow?
That's $1 million question because the countries have been engaged, both Armenia and Russia and the West on its part, in trying to touch and sense what are the red lines of each other. As of now, Armenia, we can read in the ruling party's electoral program that they are pursuing an EU future. But that also is a very risky, a strategic gamble, one might even call it, if the dependencies from Russia are not ameliorated in a way that can backfire significantly. We also saw that a month ago in the meeting between the heads of states of Armenia and Russia, these matters were also discussed. But the big question remains if Armenia now fulfills its commitments vis-a-vis Europe and does all the reforms that it took, which is basically very similar to all the reforms that accession countries take. Will European Union be ready to take Armenia on board? And this, I think, is the most important question to be answered before a decision in Yerevan is made.
And what can Armenia realistically offer the EU when it comes to partnership?
Armenia can offer a zone of stability in its eastern neighborhood. Armenia can offer itself as a strategic connectivity line, as we already discussed, through South Caucasus to Central Asia. Armenia is the only, or is the best performing democracy, even though with its own problems in the region, looking many thousand kilometers in all directions. And this, as Antonio Costa today mentioned in Yerevan, shows where Armenia maybe also belongs. And this day, besides all the remarkable things that happened today, marks some sort of progress also in the neighborhood, as Armenia and Turkey signed a memorandum of building an historic bridge on the border. This was also the first such document signed in Armenia with a Turkish official present here, even though Turkey still is dragging its feet with opening the border fully, which again, the European and Western involvement will be key in this regard to have a success and a breakthrough.
Narek Sukiasyan, thank you so much.
Thank you.